Good afternoon and welcome everybody. My name's Dave and thanks for joining me, and today we're going to talk about the Tech 2. Yes, that one and only Tech 2 tool that we all really need and we can't afford. And okay, the document gets a little bit technical in places, but please bear with me while we get through this technical mumbo jumbo and on to the interesting stuff. So, Tech 2, how to use it, how to find the information you need. Unlike, I'm going to read from the screen again, sorry guys. The Tech 2 is unlike the standard ODBC2 connector. It uses a different protocol, and ODBC2 will not communicate with Isuzu's ECU or PCMs inside your car, chiefly because the Isuzu uses an older protocol called SAE-J1850 PWM. Now, ODBC stands for Open Database Connectivity and has been standardized across all cars these days. However, the older cars like the Isuzu were pre-ODBC2 and used a different protocol. Tech 2 uses the ODBC2 port in the car. It is labeled as an ALDL/DLC port. Okay, even though the plugs are identical, modern ODBC2 devices will not talk to either the Isuzu brain or the PCM modules. They'll get the odd bit of information or not much at all. So what is SAE-J1850? Here's the technical mumbo jumbo bit. SAE-J1850 is an electrical interface bus used for diagnostics and data sharing applications in vehicles. It takes two forms: a 41.6 kilobits per second pulse width modulated PWM, two-wire differential approach, or a 10.4 kilobits per second variable pulse width VPW single wire approach. The single wire approach will have a bus length of up to 35 meters with 32 nodes. Developed in 1994, SAE-J1850 may be phased out for new designs, and it has been. The SAE-J1850 VPW is one of several signal protocols mandated by OBD2/EOBD legislation, which requires automotive vehicle manufacturers from 1996 in the USA or 2001 in Europe to provide access to the vehicle data bus via a standard 16-pin SAE-J1962 connector. The purpose of SAE-J1850 VPW was originally to allow testing and diagnostics from the onboard diagnostic capabilities of the control module responsible for the vehicle's emission control system. Class 2 serial data bus from the Trooper Manual, Chapter 7A1, Item 18. OBD. Now, OBD is onboard diagnostics. OBD2 technology requires much more sophisticated PCM than does OBD1 technology. The OBD2 PCM diagnostic management system not only monitors systems and components that can impact emissions, but they also run active tests on these systems and components. The decision-making functions of ODB2 PCMs have also greatly increased. To communicate its expansion in diagnostic complexity, Isuzu engineers designed the Class 2 serial data bus, which meets SAE-J1850 complexity, recommended practice for serial data. Serial data refers to the information which is transferred in a linear fashion over a single line, one bit at a time. A data bus is an electronic pathway through which serial data travels. Trooper previously used a 5-volt data bus called a UART, which is an acronym for Universal Asynchronous Receive and Transmit. When neither the vehicle's control module nor the diagnostic tools, such as in Tech 2, are talking, the voltage level of the bus at rest is 5 volts. The two computers talk to each other at a rate of 8,192 bits per second by toggling or switching the voltage on the data bus from 5 volts to ground. Class 2 data, which is used on OBD2 vehicles, is quite different. Data is transferred at the rate of 10.4 kilobits per second, and the voltage is toggled between 0 and 7 volts. Right, that's the mumbo jumbo out of the way. Let's get on with the Tech 2. Do I just need a Tech 2? Well, no, you don't. And it comes with other bits and pieces, and if you don't buy it with the bits and pieces, then you're mad. You'll also require the following: an Isuzu 98 system PCM CIA card, which slots into the Tech 2 at the top. The RS232 loopback connector, and this is used for testing the Tech 2. We don't have one of those. It didn't come with the equipment. The SAE 16/19 adapter, which is the plug in the car. The DLC cable and the Tech 2 itself. You'll need all of those things. Before using the Tech 2 tool, getting started, there are some steps that must be performed. So let's go through them. These are from the manual too. 1. The Isuzu 98 system PCM CIA card requires to be inserted into the Tech 2. Connect the SA1619 adapter to the DLC cable. So the DLC cable is the long cable, the adapter is the plug on the end that plugs into the car. Connect the DLC cable to the Tech 2. Ensure that the vehicle ignition is switched off. Connect the Tech 2 SAE 1619 adapter to the vehicle's ALDL/DLC connector. Turn on the ignition. Verify the Tech 2 power on display as follows. And it will say Tech 2 and enter to continue. And I'll show you that graphic on the screen right now. Note, the RS232 loopback connector is only used for diagnosis of the Tech tool itself. Okay, so we don't have one. If you need one, you'd have to buy one. So locating the ALDL/DLC connector is located in the driver's footwell behind the plastic cover for the center console. You should be able to locate it by placing your fingers behind the plastic cover, pull out the plug and cable and allow the connection. Note, in a left-hand drive vehicle, it's on the left-hand side footwell, not the right-hand side footwell. It's always in the driver's side well.
Hi everybody, I just thought I'd show you some bits and pieces for the Tech 2. Okay, so the location of the cable that you need to connect your Tech 2 is going to be right behind this panel here. And there's the cable sticking out right there. That's what you're looking for. Now if you have a left-hand drive car, it'll be on the left-hand drive side. It's on the driver's side regardless of which car you have. Okay?
This is a Tech 2. There you go. Tech 2, cable, and plug. See the plug with the adapter. That's the adapter to get it to interface with the car. That's where it fits on there. Okay, so item number 1 on the is the PCM card. Now I don't know if you can see, but in the slot at the top there is where you put the PCM card. In here we have an Isuzu PCM card, which is the one you need. The loopback connector, can't see one of those. So maybe it didn't come with a loopback connector. If it did, I don't know where it is. We've got a bag full of adapters here, which we never use. We've got different interfaces and different vehicles, I suppose. And there's a box here with a power supply for mains and an American plug on it. There's also something here which I have no idea what it is. So I'll have a look and see if I can investigate. Item number 2, the loopback connector, doesn't seem to be there. So, item number 3, the 1619 SAE adapter is this. That's the adapter, and it goes to the connector at the front there. You need to have that, otherwise you can't connect to the car. The DLC cable. This is the DLC cable. And the Tech 2 itself. Using the Tech 2 tool, some don'ts. Do not switch the ignition on or off until the tool tells you to. Do not start the engine before the tool tells you to. Never switch off the ignition with the tool powered on. Note, if you attempt to start the engine before the tool is ready, it will reset and you will need to go through the startup sequence again. I'll show you that in the video because I've done that a couple of times. Some tests require the tool to have its own power supply. The tool should come with its own set of battery connectors. You will be required to supply an independent 12-volt battery. This is for tests such as tests that run without the ignition on. Because the tool gets its power from the ODBC connector, or the ALDL connector, it won't run if there's no ignition. So you have to connect it to a separate power supply in that case. Make sure you have always selected the correct vehicle and powertrain when you're setting up the Tech 2. Alright, here's a couple of bits of useful information. The procedures for using the Tech 2 program to program new injectors is found on the Trooper Tech manual page 1855 in section 6C/10. You'll also require a Holden chart that we publish on the Patreon page for Patreons. A pro tip is to photograph the tops of any new injectors before replacing the rocker cover, because you will need to know what the serial numbers are. Reading and clearing DTCs is found in section 6E27, page 1920 of the manual. Shows you how to read DTCs and how to clear them if needed. Common uses for the Tech 2: identifying stored diagnostic trouble codes, DTCs, clearing DTCs, performing output control tests, and reading serial data. So, reading flash diagnostic trouble codes, DTC. Module ECM is the data link connector, DLC. The DLC is located in the front console box. It is used in the assembly plant to receive information in checking that the engine is operating properly before it leaves the plant. The diagnostic trouble codes stored in the ECM memory can be read either through a handheld diagnostic scanner plugged into the DLC or by counting the number of flashes on the check engine malfunction indicator light when the diagnostic terminal of the DLC is grounded. We might cover that later, the flashlight. You can do the codes with that, but we just use the Tech 2 because it just read it and it tells you what it is. It's much easier. So how about reading diagnostic trouble codes using the Tech 2? The procedure for reading diagnostic trouble codes is to use the diagnostic Tech 2. When reading DTCs, follow the instructions by the Tech 2 manufacturer. Well, I'm going to show you how to do that, so that's fine. For the 1998 model year, Isuzu dealer service departments will continue to use the Tech 2. Clearing diagnostic trouble codes. It is important. Do not clear DTCs unless directed to do so by the service information provided for any diagnostic procedure. When DTCs are cleared, the freeze frame and failure record data, which may help diagnose an intermittent fault, will also be erased from memory. If the fault that caused the DTC to be stored into memory has been corrected, the diagnostic executive will begin to count the warm-up cycles with no further faults detected. The DTC will automatically be cleared from the ECM memory. Available tests. There's quite a number of available tests, but the two most used ones for the 4JX1 engine is the injector click test. This test is conducted to make sure the appropriate electrical signals are being sent to the injectors, numbers 1 to 4. A Tech 2 is needed for this test. Then we'll run through how to do this, but I'm going to show you in the video. Note, if an injector working noise click can hardly be confirmed, remove the engine head cover noise insulation or use an engine stethoscope to improve audio capabilities. Well, I tried that in the video, you'll see, and I still couldn't hear it. So there's a possibility I've got a problem with injector 4. If the injector whose working click has been confirmed, its electric circuit can be regarded as normal. As for the injector whose working click cannot be confirmed, the electric circuit on the injector is likely faulty. Please note that there are 5 clicks per injector. The first click is regarded as the last click from the previous injector. So if you don't get any clicks on injector 4, you'll get the initial first click, which is from injector 3 when you did that test. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 is silent, so that indicates there's a problem. The EGR valve test. This test is conducted to check the EGR valve's operation. A Tech 2 must be used for this test. Rail pressure control valve test. And this test is conducted to check the RPC valve for its working. This is Isuzu speak. A Tech 2 must be used for this test. You need to have the engine up to operating temperature to be able to conduct that test. The parameters for engine monitoring mode. In the engine monitoring mode, you can look at performance figures in real time, such as the idle speed or the gear selection, etc. So you can look at oil pressures and other rates of flow pressure and compare them against the charts in the manual. The charts list normal parameters, what you should expect, so you can make a comparison against what you were seeing and in some diagnostic tests to perhaps locate an issue. Each parameter comes with units displayed, typical data, and references on what and where to check. So I've got those charts. I'll bring them up on the screen for you when we're going through the video for testing and we'll run through all the checks.
Okay, so let's connect up the Tech 2 and see what sort of things we get when the engine's running. You can connect the Tech 2 when the engine's running. The reason it goes into battery mode when you've got to connect a separate battery is usually when you're trying to do tests where the engines are and the engine isn't running and you've got no power going to the Tech 2. Okay, so here we have the Tech 2, it's plugged in now, we've got the engine running. What we need to do now is switch it on. So we go with the power button, which is in the bottom right hand corner here. We press that and we get the initial screen set up. I presume you can see that from there. It goes through a number of self-tests, goes into a path and goes to this point here. It says press enter to continue. We press enter in the center there. Now it wants to know whether you want to go into the diagnostics, the service programming system, view capture data, tool options, the download, upload help. So we'll go into diagnostics and we'll look at DLCs first. So we press enter again and it gives us a year. We have to pick the correct year for our vehicle. This one is 2000. It's 2000. It's a Trooper Bighorn Jackaroo. And the powertrain is a 4JX1. So we scroll down to L4 4JX1 and we click OK. Now it says turn on ignition and we confirm for that. And there you go, it gives you the engine part number, the broadcast code and the identifier. We press enter again. And we can go into diagnostic trouble codes, DLCs, DTC, sorry. And then we say read DTC info by priority. No diagnostic trouble code stored. That is a good thing. So we hit exit to come out of there. We could clear it if there was some, and there's nothing there anyway, so we'll exit again. Okay, so we're back to the powertrain. What do we want to do? We want to look at the data display. So we'll press data display and press enter, and it brings us up with the screen, which is the running parameters I showed you at the end of the video there. So you've got battery voltage 13.7 volts. We can rev that up a little bit, it'll increase. It's going up to 14.1. So that's good, it's an alternator output. Ignition status is on, 12 volts. Pedal position sensor is at 0, we're on idle. Now if I press that, you see it increases in percentage there. So we're always looking at the one with the white line on it. So the position sensor there is 0.33 volts, and as you see, as I increase, the voltage increases. The pedal position sense status is closed. If I press it, it'll go to open. Idle switch is closed. Manifold absolute pressure 104 kPa. Barometric pressure 99 kPa. I think that's the outside pressure. Engine coolant temperature 54 degrees centigrade. And then the next number down is 9 of 40. So that's how many items we have on here, 40. Rail oil pressure 4.3. It's around about 4 MPa, the desired pressure. Desired oil rail pressure, which is about 4. So we're slightly above, but we're not doing too bad. Fuel temperature 44 degrees centigrade. Quick warming request is off because the engine's running. If we were on idle, if we're on ignition on status, it might be on. AC for an information switch inactive. If I press the AC button, turn the fan on, you see we get 12 volts there. Turn the AC off, no volts. Okay, down one more. Absolute EGR pressure 64.6 kPa. I don't know whether that's right or not. Rail oil temperature, air intake temperature, desired idle speed, engine speed, brake switch open. If I press the brake switch it goes to closed. Ceramic heaters are off. Actual gear, we're in park. If I put my foot on the brake and go into reverse or drive, you see it changes to actual gear is drive 3-2 low. It's in one of those. If I go to neutral, it goes to neutral. If I go to reverse, it goes to reverse. And if I go to park, it goes to P. So we're on 24. Vehicle speed, well, we're not moving, so it's 0. Rail pressure control valve, 19%. Thermo relay on. EGR status. EGR switching valve. EGR regulating valve. Throttle position sensor voltage. Throttle position, 6 steps. Delivered fuel quantity, 5 millimeters square cubed. STK, whatever STK means. Injector status is enabled. Injection pulse width, 97 milliseconds. Injection timing, minus 4.5 degrees CA, whatever CA means. Exhaust pressure, valve 2, off, off. Alright, so let's exit out of this. And we'll turn the engine off, we'll go to miscellaneous tests. Now when I turn the engine off, I'll leave the ignition on, otherwise this will switch off. We'll have to pop the bonnet and we may have to go outside for this. I can't do the injector test because we're not up to temperature, but I can do the click test. So what we do here, we run the Tech 2 through the door frame here with the door open. The ignition is still on, so it's still on, and we go down to miscellaneous tests. Press OK, and you can see in here they've got the injector balance test and you've got the injector control test. I think the balance test is the right one, so we'll try it. Okay, bear with me. I'd actually turned the ignition off, so that'll be the reason why. Turn on engine. Now you can see what's happened here is because I've turned on the engine, it's rebooted itself. Right, saying the coolant temperature is too cold, it's at 60 degrees. Right, turn off ignition. Ignition is on, confirm. Alright, so we're on injector 1 now. Are you ready? Well, I heard it clicking, I'll do it again. And that seemed to work fine. So injector 2, now injector 3. And injector 4. Now, I can't hear anything for an injector 4, but it doesn't mean to say it's not working. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try it again. So, I can't hear anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the stethoscope. See if we can hear it. Well, it looks like injector 4 isn't making any noises, so we may be having to look at the solenoid in injector 4. In the meantime, we'll go back. Rail oil pressure control valve, there is a test for it in here. Wants the engine on for that, so let's give it a try. The engine seems to run okay, so I'll be surprised if that injector is faulty, but you never know. Now I'm going to have to reset this all again. Again, it says the engine temperature is too cold. So what else you can actually do as well So if you go into this point here where you select the 4JX1 and select 440 LE or your gearbox type, you can actually look at the ignition, you can actually look at what your gearbox is doing. So there's no diagnostic trouble codes for the gearbox. So this is the transmission data here. And there's 27 controls in there. And this is the transmission control module, TCM. And there's 13 of these. See whether your solenoids are working, automatic transmission input speed, engine speed.
Well, that wraps up the Tech 2 video, people. Thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, you've got something useful out of it, please consider subscribing and liking the video. If you want to do more, please join Patreon. Buy me a coffee, there's a link in the description. Or if you don't want to do any of those things, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.